right, good evening, everybody. Let's call this meeting to order. Begin by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to introduce the board members here with us this evening. Starting on my left, we have Mr. Hector De La Torres, Mr. Alexander Spence, Ms. Jacqueline Scott, and Vice Chair Brian Donaldson. On my right, we have Mr. Kevin Buckley and Mr. Steve Gannon. With city staff, who can do our introductions? Would you do that?
Sure. Good evening, Jim Hetzel with Urban Design and Planning. To my right, we have Deputy City Attorney Dwayne Spence. To my left is planning staff, Tyler LaForme, John D'Angelo, who's next to him, Adam Schnell, and Yvonne Redding.
Very good. Thank you very much. We'll call item number one, or actually the approval of the minutes. Do we have any motions or?
Motion to approve the minutes of last meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, and we will do item number one
Let's swear in.
with disclosures. Mr. De La Torres, any disclosures?
No, not on this one.
Mr. Spence?
No disclosures.
Ms. Scott?
Let's see, I walk the property daily. I spoke to the applicant. I spoke to the applicant's attorney, and I spoke to all my neighbors, and I spoke to my homeowner association.
Very good. Mr. Donaldson?
I walked the parcel.
Mr. Buckley?
Site visit, spoke with the applicant, and received letters of support via staff
Mr.
from
Gannon?
residents.
Excuse me, Mr. Gannon?
Site visit, call with the attorney, let's see, and emailed letters of support and whatnot, and one against, I believe, in the as emails there.
It was against? Somebody was against?
I didn't see that one.
It's a wrong line.
There was one against a Nicholas or Nick. It came from Ella just today, actually. This during today.
That was a different vacation.
Ike's. Sorry, you're right.
Okay, I did a site visit.
Chair, if you would you like to entertain the swearing in of individuals that are going to testify?
Yes. Okay, at this time, we'll do swearing in for anybody who wishes to speak on any of the applications. If you'll please rise and raise your right hand.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Very good.
Good evening, members of the board, chair, members of the board. My name is Robert Lockery on behalf of the applicants, I should say, which are the two properties, a little hard to see in this aerial right here, but the two properties that are outlined in yellow at 212 South Victoria Park Road and 1710 Southeast 2nd Court. As your staff report and agenda indicate, the request before you tonight is to vacate the eastern portion of platted portion of Southeast 2nd Court as it's designated on the plat. This next slide is a little bit closer up. I'm not sure why the yellow isn't coming up on the south piece, but apologize for that. It's the way the PDF worked out. What you see here is an area that's outlined in a darker yellow. That's the applicant on the north side. The pink area or red area is the specific area that's being requested to be vacated. And then south of that, that parcel is also a co-applicant as they also adjoin this property. Just as a little bit of background, this property or this right-of-way was originally dedicated in 1920 as a boulevard, thoroughfare, or street. It has never been used for that purpose. Now, for purposes of determining that, we went back to historic aerials, back to the 1940s through to today. It has never been shown to be an actual street, and in fact, it's unimproved today. There's no pathway, there's no walkway, et cetera, in that portion of the property. It is the portion, as you outlined on this graphic, that's red, that's east of Victoria Park Road and goes to the Suspiro Canal on the west side. This next slide, as part of the process of going through the vacation, we did reach out to our neighbors, the Neighborhood Association, through a public participation meeting that was held, and have received letters of support from all the parcels that are indicated in blue, which are all the surrounding properties, importantly, including the property on the east side of the Cespiro Canal. You see it there over on the right, across the canal from this portion of the right-of-way. And as I indicated, this area has not been improved. This is the eastern edge of the paved area of Southeast 2nd Court. Actually, what you still see here is within Victoria Park Road, so the area that we're vacating is even further east to this. And as I indicated, it has never been improved. It's never been used for the purpose for which it was platted, which was for a street. The city has no plans to use it in the future for this purpose, as evidenced in the staff report, and they're currently not maintaining the unimproved area. Again, just a little bit, this is going to be hard to see, but going back to 1947 and 1963, I can show you a little bit closer up if you care to see it, but these areas specifically have never been improved. With that, we are happy to answer any questions, entertain any comments you may have. We do agree with the conditions of the staff report, but we would like to add one additional element to the conditions, and specifically as it relates to condition number 2, which currently reads that if any utility infrastructure is found within the easement area, that it be relocated. We would like to add the words, and I did speak with our project planner about this morning, or an easement granted to the facility provider. In the event that there is infrastructure out there, it's not city infrastructure, we know there's none of that, but if there is infrastructure and it cannot be easily removed, we would grant an easement for that and it would allow the vacation to go forward. So with that addition to condition number 2, that it either be removed or an easement granted, we're happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Ms. Scott, did you have anything? Did you have a question or anything? Does anyone have a question for the applicant?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Del Toro.
Hello, Mr. Lockery.
Hi, Mr. Torres. How are you?
The property owner, Howard and Terrell, I believe they are, right?
They're the property owners on the north side, and there's also the property owners on the south side.
So that's my question. Who owns this property and what's the purpose of the vacation?
Sure. So the property was dedicated by plat, as I said, for purposes of a street. There were replats that occurred in 1926 and 1936, again, as a street. But the streets were reconfigured a little bit in the sense that Victoria Park Road was added, kind of cutting through this section, which as you see, if you see the east-west road, which cuts right through the middle of the site, then you see the road that kind of curves up to the north. That portion of the right-of-way is now the access to the streets, the houses along those streets, as well as there's an access along Southeast 2nd. Let me go back one slide. Here you can see where the right-of-way continues to exist to the north as well as to the west. It's this portion of the property that's behind essentially hedges. It's never been improved. It's never been needed or used for a city purpose. And so that's why it's being vacated, where it will revert back to the adjoining property owners.
So half of it will go to the one owner and the other half to the other owner?
That's correct.
That's why they're in the property ownership?
That's
What
correct.
is their plans to do? What do they want to do with this?
Well, the most important thing they want to do is maintain it and secure it. Right now, as I said, it has not been maintained by the city. They would go in, gate it, and essentially clean up the area to the extent it can be cleaned up, but importantly, also keep people from just wandering back there and spending time there, but basically control it since it's not being used again for its intended purpose. City's not going to be building a bridge connecting it to the properties to the east, and it has no purpose as a street.
Got it. So, and do you know what square footage of the land would go to one and the other? Did you
It's
figure that out?
roughly half and half under Florida law. When a property's, it was all dedicated by one plat, and so when it's vacated, it splits down the middle.
But do you know what that square footage is?
I
by any
don't
chance?
know exactly what that square footage is.
So when they add it to their property, would that go into their folio as part of their
It will.
land ownership?
It will. The downside there for them is they will be paying taxes on it as well, but it will become part of their ownership.
Well, that's a good point. So they pay taxes. Does it increase their value?
It could increase their value, yes. Now, subject to an easement, may not be able to build on it, but they will have more land. That's correct.
But does it increase their value?
If you have more land, yeah.
Right. So have they offered anything to the city for that?
Well, under Florida law, you cannot offer anything through the vacation process because essentially the way a vacation works, the city's making a determination that they're not going to use it for the purpose it was dedicated for, so it would be improper to offer anything to the city for that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
May I speak?
Ms.
Chairman?
Scott, please.
So what's important about this is that wooded area as Robert said, has been like that forever. I mean, I've lived there since the 80s. And I can tell you that the neighborhood uses the path that you see in the picture to cross over to Victoria Park Road. Nobody goes purposely or goes into the woods because it's very dense. And we did have a situation a year or so ago where there was a couple of neighbors from another neighborhood that was going down there and peeking in windows and nosing around. And when the property owners asked for them to please leave, the guy said, "This is a public street and we have every right to be here and we're not leaving." So that kind of started the whole impetus of needing to vacate this so they can have protection. And that really is the number one premise. I can tell you that the neighborhood is in totally support of this because it has no effect on us. We still get to walk our dogs down that little wooded path to South Victoria Park Road. So after the board discusses it, I'm ready to make a motion to approve.
Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Buckley?
I'm looking at the east side of it there. It looks like it's just riprap. There's no seawall on the east side abutting the water, correct? Okay, thank you.
Any other? Okay. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval. I move to recommend case number UDP-V24002 based on the following findings of fact. The facts in the city staff report and are based on the testimony of the applicant's attorney. And the board hereby finds the application meets the applicable criteria of the ULDR cited in the staff report. Now, the condition of number 2, I don't know how to handle that, Dwayne. Robert wanted the language change for the...
Correct. So you can, as part of your motion, accept the amendment as stated on the record by applicant's attorney to condition number 2.
Okay, just go ahead and write that because I'm going to try to repeat it anyway.
Accepting as an amendment to condition number 2 the proposed amendment made by applicant's attorney.
Second that.
Mr. Buckley seconded it. We'll do a roll.
Mr. De La Torres,
Yes.
Mr. Spence,
Yes.
Mr. Dutton,
Because I wasn't here to hear the applicant and their attorney, I think it's inappropriate unless I recuse.
Unfortunately, based on Florida statute, you're not allowed to recuse in a case like this unless you have a voting conflict.
Okay. No conflict. I did speak to the applicant's attorney prior, did a site drive-by, so I'm confident in approving with the board.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Gannon,
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson,
Yes.
Chairman Teague.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, item number 2, which is UDP S25001, has requested a deferral. Board's sentiment on that, Mr. Donaldson?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the deferral of item number 2, which is case UDP S25001, to the next meeting, which is January 21st, 2026.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Great. Okay, moving on to item number 3, UDP S25025. Disclosures, Mr. De La Torres?
None.
Mr. Spence? No. Ms. Scott?
Site visit, and I spoke to an attorney, but none of the attorneys listed here is who I spoke to.
Mr.
Yes,
Donald?
exactly. Hope Calhoun.
I'll be playing Hope today.
Okay, gotcha. I just wanted to disclose it. Thank you.
Mr. Donaldson,
I did a site visit.
Mr. Dutton,
Site visit.
Mr. Buckley,
Site visit.
and Mr. Gannon.
Site visit and spoke to the applicant's attorney.
I did a site visit and had a phone call from Ms. Calhoun. I'd also like to note that Member Dutton came in at 6:09 p.m. this evening. Very good. Thank you. Floor is yours.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Thompson. I am with the law firm Miskell Backman, located at 14 Southeast 4th Street in Boca Raton. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, as I just said before the mic was turned on. Another attorney in our office, Hope Calhoun, has been working on this as well and had the opportunity to connect with a majority of the board, I believe. But unfortunately, she was not here tonight or able to be here tonight. So I will be here to present to you all our proposed self-storage project. See if this is going to work. All right. So just to give you a brief overview of the property location and some of the background information, it's located on Davie Boulevard, right near the intersection of Davie and South Andrews. It's adjacent to the railroad tracks and adjacent as well to the Tarpon River in the back on the north side of the property. It's about 0.36 acres, so a little less than half an acre, and located in the South Regional Activity Center, South Andrews West, and as well as located in the land use category of South Regional Activity Center. So next slide. I know a few of you mentioned just now that you conducted a site visit, but here are the existing conditions for those of you who did not get a chance to go out. I believe right now there is an 8,000 plus or minus square foot existing building, and I believe the western portion of the property is used for food trucks currently. There's, I think, 2 tenants in the existing space right now. There is a tailor and a jeweler. I believe they buy and sell jewelry. So this is the location. As you can see, this is the railroad to the west and just right along Davie Boulevard. So here is the site plan. I know you've all had a package to look, and I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at the package that staff's provided, but what we're presenting to you today is a 6-story, a little bit over 50,000 square foot self-storage facility. The first floor will be for the lobby and the parking, but the next 5 stories up will be for all the self-storage units. I can't speak to how many self-storage units there will be today. They're still determining that, but the square footage is 50,112 square feet of the entire building. There will be 6 parking spaces, which is 1 above what's required by code. And I believe there is 1 loading space right there in the center of the floor plan. So in the back, there will be a 20-foot landscaped setback with bushes, trees, and any other required landscaping that the city has asked for. And let's see. The next slide is a couple aerials perspectives from the northeast, south, southwest, and southeast aerials, just to give you an idea of what this is going to look like on Davie compared to the surrounding properties. And then here are the project renderings. These are 3 up-close project renderings off of Davie, so you can get an idea of what the landscaping may look like when it's all completed, the aesthetics of the building and such. And these are 4 more blown-out renderings of the building. In the lower right-hand corner, that is a night view, so you can see how the lighting will affect the area as the sun goes down. I did want to point out that we did have an opportunity to speak with the Poinciana Park and Tarpon River Civic Associations, who did express their support of this project. They did ask us to look into some safety on the ingress and egress and access to the building, and we did get full support from FDOT for the access of the building. We just received that updated letter from them on December 5th. And the Tarpon River Civic Association did ask us to look into whether we could do any sort of art mural on the side. So we are actively looking into that as well. And we are prepared to put any sort of mural or art that is able to be put on the side that the city will allow us to do, if possible. So with that, are there any questions?
Mr. Gannon.
So from what I see from reading the packets and all the info, you're The project is complying with all setbacks, all dimensional, everything else. It's only because you're on the water pretty much, and there are
sir.
some things for a self-storage facility requirements, but you're meeting all of those.
Yes, sir.
And the staff confirms that in the packets. I don't need to ask them. Then I think that choice of what's going to go there, because of the way that the railroad tracks, the hill, the street, the whatever, I think it's a good choice because residents are not going to want to live there. And it also for a retail use, we all know it's self-storage facilities. People rent them, put their stuff in, and forget about them.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not a lot of traffic there around
Exactly.
that area too. So it sounds good. And there seemed to be another one about a block or two south.
Correct. That's
self-storage,
correct.
Right in the area there too. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this time for the? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the public that wish to speak, we have Vanessa Apotheker. And then up next would be Ted Inserera.
Hi, Vanessa Apotheker, president of Tarpon River Civic Association. We did not have a formal board vote, but a majority of our board had no opposition when they came to speak to us, and we did request, like she said, perhaps considering a local artist to paint a mural on the side of the building to add some character to it. And yeah, that's about it. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for this speaker? No. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Inserera.
Hello, my name is Ted and Sarah. I'm the president of the River Oaks Civic Association. Yes, there is one right nearby on Southwest 2nd Street. Blocks these in an industrial area behind the Tab 42 and in that area. This is right on Davie Boulevard. I think the compatibility for this is just ridiculous. I mean, we're just going to junk up Davie Boulevard with this big, huge public storage, area in an area where the traffic already is so bad, where it's the railroad tracks there, where it's fun if you live in the neighborhood. This is where the railroad trains actually stop a number of times every day. The only way to exit this place is to go west on Davie Boulevard and right over the railroad tracks. So if you wanted to leave here and come east, then you would have to figure out a way to turn around, do something through the neighborhood on Davie Boulevard, which is horrific with traffic, and then come back across the railroad track to come back east. And this, if it was any other place, if it was on 2nd Street, I got no problem in that area. But, the traffic problems in this area are already bad with 4th Avenue, with Andrews Avenue. The backup takes them 4 or 5 times to get to the lights. But I just think, and plus just the aesthetics, what the building is in this area, it is just going to be an eyesore. I don't care what freaking mural you paint on it. That is just going to be an eyesore in the neighborhood and not fit on Davie Boulevard whatsoever. Thank you.
Stay up there, Ted.
Thank you. One moment.
I'm sorry. I didn't want you to go down. Can I?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. So Davie is commercial. It's zoned commercial or business, something like that. Now, what's there is definitely a building that needs to be torn down.
Oh, I know what's there. I make a site visit daily.
So something's going to go in there. There's anything that goes in there is going to affect the traffic. This minimizes the traffic flow. A self-storage facility, people do not visit it a lot. You're not going to have much traffic there. A lot of other things could go there. As I mentioned, it's certainly doesn't seem suitable for residential. I don't know who's going to want to live to that, right there. That's for sure. So as far as anything going in there, this is probably the best. I got to argue that it's the best thing that could go there for that particular position.
For Davie Boulevard, which in the surrounding areas have the immediate area have nothing more than one story, to suddenly have this monstrosity sticking up. And like I said, this is not a warehouse area. This is not an industrial area. This is not behind Lester's Diner on State Road 84. This is right on Davie Boulevard, right by Andrews Avenue, a main corridor of our city. And to have it right there just seems preposterous.
Thanks.
Thank you,
That's all.
sir. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote.
I'd like to make a motion for approval.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh,
And I have
sorry.
a couple of comments.
Yes, sir, Mr. Del Torres.
I guess I should ask Dwayne. So, Dwayne, does the city have any rules regarding like banners or public advertising on the side of a building that prohibit that?
Yes, it would be governed by our sign code.
Right. So if you look at this, I mean, the curb appeal is great, but there's a lot of opportunity for things that I think we need to be cautious with, to this gentleman's opinion, which I have some some agreement with him. The area seems to be primed for that big white area. Doesn't seem to have much appeal to it. So you're saying they couldn't put a signage on there bigger than what?
I'll turn to the planners in terms of addressing super graphic signage.
For staff, I'm trying to keep it to the point that the gentleman was bringing up, where right now you see this superstructure just plain white, right? So I don't want them to have the ability to put signage there and just make this look more commercial than what it has to be. So I'm seeing what prohibitions are there already in the rules. Otherwise, I'd like to put an amendment to this.
Well, you could put a super graphic or a mural, but it would have to be approved separately than this site plan project. So there are avenues for something like that. But as far as signage that would advertise the building, there are size requirements for something like that. If they wanted to put the name of the building on their project, there's governing size requirements that would be through building permit only. So that would not be a separate site plan application. It would just be through permitting.
Right, you're talking about signage for his use. I'm talking about signage that advertises an Apple phone.
Other projects
that's
that
what
are
I'm talking
not
about.
part of that
I'm
facility.
talking about an opportunity for them to use.
They couldn't advertise on that building
not
for another
permitted.
business. Yeah.
That's number one question. Secondly, is there any rules dealing with public art that we can look here and say, look, this is the guidelines for public art?
It would be a super graphic type sign. So there is an approval process for that, but it's doable.
Yeah. Okay. So members of the board, what I'm getting at is there's a certain part of what the gentleman said that I agree with, which is this is a commercial use, right? So hey, something's going to come in here commercial, and they did a great job in the curb appeal. I think the curb appeal is great. But if you look at the superstructure, it's kind of like mundane and white, and there's a lot of cars. I travel this every day. And it would be great if we start to enhance, as opposed to what the gentleman said, enhance this area and create a precedence where if you're going to put a commercial piece of property, it's going to have this kind of elevation, take advantage of it and create some kind of public art that contributes to the commercial elevation of the aesthetics versus just a mundane piece of building. So I'm not sure how to go about it. I just figured I'd bring it up and see what the board thought.
Right. Along those lines, IT, do you have the packet that you could show a page from the packet up on the screen for everyone if we asked for it? Great. Can you do page 19, please? Oh, you've got a better one. What's that one?
It's almost the same one.
That's the same one. All right.
I don't know what your point. Yeah, I mean, yeah. The reality of it is in the graphic package here of this building, there is a sign shown on it. I presume it meets code. Staff's looked at it. I mean, under a property, and they have the right to build it. They're zoned for it. They presented a plan. I'm not in the business of redesigning applicants' proposals. And, I'm a property rights guy, so I would have a hard time voting no for this.
Can I?
Okay, go ahead.
Can I make a comment real quick? I really like the idea of the mural for the neighborhood. I think that softens it. That's great. I hope whoever makes the motion will include that.
Mr. Gannon, you have some thoughts?
I also wanted to mention that, once we get the picture up there, I want to mention that it doesn't look like it's just white. It looks like they've done a lot to try and break it up as much as they can. It changes, yes. And you'll see it up there. It's multiple colors. They try to break up, even though it's a flat front, they break it up fairly well. And I want to mention that we've been mentioning that it's a large structure. Well, it's 6 stories, but they're allowed to go 10 stories there. It's a 10 story is the limit in that spot. So 19, please. You can just get a quick look. So a little portion of that page will show what it looks like.
We're on item number 3.
Oh, are they on? Yeah.
This is item
Item
number-
3?
Item,
UDP S 25025?
he's accidentally on item.
Oops. Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to take up a lot of time
Are
on
you showing
this.
it to the public?
And the board and everyone. Just all this. Okay. All right. The board sees it. It's fine. The other thing was there was a page in there that shows all the commercial buildings that were around it. A nice page that shows there's commercial buildings 2- and 3-story and whatnot. So it's definitely commercial area. That's for sure. All right. Don't worry about it. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Just so I can comment, if you look at number 19, which is exactly what I was looking at, I'm not here to talk about property rights either. That's not what we're discussing. But I think as a board member, there's a responsibility here to enhance the city and enhance communities and bring a precedence that changes the communities for the better, right? I mean, that's why I'm here. It's not about taking property rights away. But if we have an opportunity to perhaps enhance the aesthetic value of a mundane commercial district, I think we should suggest that, right? Doesn't mean I'm taking his property rights away. I'm just saying it's not a lot of money, but if, it's great, the little bit of gray that you put into the white, but there might be an opportunity because of the height. It is the tallest building. Let's get real. In the area, it is the tallest building, right? So we are putting a precedence here. And when you do that, there's an opportunity to create an enhancement of the community, even though it's commercial, so that there's a presence when other people come in and say, all right, I want that same height. Hey, great. Now let's make this better so it doesn't look like a mundane industrial area, right? There's a lot of traffic going by. I'm just suggesting there's an opportunity here. I see it. Especially, it's not about their sign. It's not about the aesthetics. I think it's a great curb appeal. It's about how the community and what we're here to do in enhancing the aesthetics of the area can be set for the future. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not giving any property rights away.
I'm trying to figure out how, I might be wrong, but I don't think that's our role to redesign the building or say, well, we'd like you to enhance the community by changing the color. I don't know how you want to do that, sir. I really don't know if that's our role. Can staff help us here?
Sure. A couple of points to make out on this. First, you'd have to have an applicant willing to do it because it's not a code requirement, so they'd have to proffer wanting to do it, number one. Number two, we would discourage the west elevation of having any kind of mural on it because of the blazing sun that we have here in Florida. It will weather quickly, and it's a lot of maintenance to keep up with art drawn on the side of a wall. Thirdly, I would basically say that there's architectural treatments on there of score lining that would affect the image that you draw on there anyways, because you wouldn't have a flat surface to put an image there. And fourth, we look at areas in the context that the project's located in. And is it an art district? No, it's not an art district. So there's nothing really that follows up on why we would be suggesting that art from a staff level. So that's why you don't see any suggestions like that in the staff report. So those are a couple of points to think about. Architectural treatments would be better, in my opinion, than having a artwork, something more permanent on the elevation.
The Floridian has a wonderful art on the side of the building. The garage on Broward Boulevard and Andrews has wonderful art on the building. So I would like to see art on the building.
Yeah, there's a lot of railroad tracks, right-of-ways, if you will, that have art on the buildings as you drive, or you're on the train passing it by, you see that. I mean, that's definitely something that it creates an experience for those that are on Brightline, for instance. But it's something that we don't really encourage in place of architectural treatments. It's something we would actually look at architectural treatments in this area over art.
Hector, I direct you to page 24 just to take a look at that rendering.
There we go.
Yeah. I don't see a white building.
I was
see
looking at the other
fenestration,
elevation.
a lot of architectural detail.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty attractive, personally.
Yeah, I was looking at page 20. Not that elevation. I'm looking at
That's
other
the elevation that fronts the street.
Page 20.
24.
No, you're right, but I was looking at something different than you are.
Well,
I was looking at page 20.
That next rendering is what you see as you pull up from 95, which is where a lot of the
Right there,
traffic's
that
going to
one.
be.
That's the one I was looking at right
Yeah,
there.
the rendering that follows.
Yeah, I was
To note, that's also on the Brightline track.
Correct, which is where I was going with this, because Brightline is the image that I use it every day, and I look out the window and it gives me the impression of, wow, Fort Lauderdale's a great place, or what a piece of junk this is. So that's where I was going with it. It doesn't mean it has to be that way. I was just bringing it to everybody's attention to talk about it.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve. I move to adopt the resolution approving a site plan level 3 for case number UDP S25025 based upon the following findings of fact, and that the board hereby finds that the applicant meets the standards and requirements of the ULDR and criteria for the proposed use as cited in resolution, along with the approval of the application subject to all conditions included in the city staff. And I would like to also ask that the applicant work with the neighborhood to explore through the process of the art, which is a different approval process, but to explore the opportunity for perhaps some art, but not as a condition of approval.
I'll second that.
A resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving a site plan level 3 development permit for waterway use for a 49,976 square foot self-storage facility for the property located at 111 through 113 West Davie Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the South Regional Activity Center, South Andrews West District, case number UDP S25025, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Delatorres,
Yes.
Mr. Spence,
Yes.
Mr. Dutton,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Gannon,
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson,
Yes.
Chairman Teague,
Yes.
vote passes. I'm sorry, motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Can I ask Ted, before Ted leaves, can I ask the board a question, or as well as staff? So this approves and then goes to the commission to get voted on for final, right? That's. Or
This is a
it can be
site plan
called
level
up,
3.
is my point. It can be called
Yeah.
up. So Tarpon River, all the neighborhoods surrounding it, if there was a larger issue, that's the time when they can, solicit that
One
opinion.
of the commissioners or the mayor would have to indicate a statement of intent to call the item up.
Yep.
And then we would then put it on an agenda.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you. Item number 4, UDP V21002, disclosures. Mr. Delatorres.
Yes, I spoke to the client's attorney.
Mr. Spence.
No.
Ms. Scott.
Yes, I spoke to the crushes. I read emails and letters.
Mr. Donaldson.
I spoke to the applicant's attorney, I did a site visit, and I read the emails of support and against from the city.
Mr. Dutton.
Spoke to applicant's attorney as well as site visit as well as review of email correspondence from neighboring.
Mr. Buckley.
Site visit, spoke to the applicant's attorney, and I read the emails that were forwarded to me from the city.
Mr. Gannon.
Site visit. Made a site visit, spoke to applicant's attorney and emails, and also spoke to one of the applicants, a family member of the applicants there during the site visit.
Okay, I did a site visit, spoke with the applicant's attorney, and also read the emails that were forwarded from staff. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members. Courtney Crush appearing for Jason Crush this evening. With me this evening are the property owners, Lindsay Way and her husband, David Ide. Their father, Peter Ide, is the third property owner for the proposed right-of-way vacation before you for recommendation this evening. As you heard in, I think, the item number 1 regarding a right-of-way application where something dead-ended, a lot of this, the catalyst for starting to discuss this and bringing this application forward is safety security, both from people's activity and also vehicular travel. As I mentioned, the Ides own the 3 homes that abut this 50-foot portion of right-of-way, which does not actually dead end into the water, but actually dead ends into private property. The original rights of way were called out in this plat in the 1940s, where in fact Coconut Drive, which I realize it's a little bit faint, did actually terminate next to some land, which was acreage at the time. The plat did dedicate all shown streets and right-of-ways to the public, subject to a reverter should they cease to be used for right-of-way purposes. About 20 years later, a plat immediately to the south sought to create what is now River Reach. So the Harbor Island plat in the mid-1960s actually dredged out that large waterway and created a berm and conveyed upland to each of the property owners, which abutting to the south, which you can see highlighted in that yellow line, that created private property ownership at the terminus of Coconut Drive. It is not like a lot of the rights of way, which may or may not have been used throughout time. This actually does not have the opportunity to ever continue a street grid, even if you were going to do a bridge, because the upland property owners own the end of what appears to be the street and can use it for their own purposes. For some context, and as I mentioned, you can see River Reach to the south, long constructed. The Ides and Ways family homes have been there, and as I did mention, a lot of the use on this, it seems to be confusion, both vehicular. If people think they are heading generally towards Davie Boulevard, I know people will look for many opportunities. If they come off of 4th and take Southwest 9th and head south, they don't realize that they are not going to be able to somehow leap across the canal and find their way down to Davie Boulevard. So there really is a lot of confusion while there is a dead end sign. Additionally, people who are using, you can see above on the west side of there is a paper right-of-way which operates essentially as a park just north of 905. And a lot of times people coming to use the park think they can just park in the road because it is a dead end and does not go anywhere. As you saw in the staff report, staff analyzed the criteria under which proposed rights of way are analyzed. Is this something that is needed for either pedestrian or vehicular travel? The answer is absolutely not, has not really been since the 1960s. Incidentally, David's grandfather constructed the first home at 905 in the 1950s, the other 2 in the 60s, and the family owns them today. But as I mentioned, really, I'm not going to say vagrancy, but people hanging out and sort of parking, whether next to the park or just having to turn around quickly. No one has any need or purpose to get in front of this portion of the right-of-way. There are no sidewalks. There is no access to the right-of-way. And so your staff concluded that, excuse me, that criteria is met. Mm-hmm. Staff also concluded that there's no need for pedestrian access and did put as a condition of approval, there are some utility lines that are in there that really a utility easement was sufficient and would be retained should the board recommend approval. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions. You did see that we did engage in public participation, got some significant letters of support from our neighbors, did see a letter coming in responding, I think, to some DRC comments that were at a time where I think the city was not aware of the private ownership, thought that this was something that actually led to the water. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Donaldson, I believe, has a question.
Yes, I have a question, and it may be for staff as well. There's an existing fire hydrant at the end, at the south end of this portion of Coconut.
Yes.
Is that going to be relocated if this was vacated? Is the city going to maintain that? What's the thought process on that?
I think the fire department is happy if it stays. There is also a fire hydrant that you can see in the aerial here on the north. That is actually on Southwest 9th. So it would be outside the area to be vacated, still in the city's control. And the fire department says that's actually would be sufficient to serve everything. I think the rule was 300 feet. This is 102 feet deep. I don't know why there are two.
But are we allowing them then to eliminate that fire hydrant, or does the city intend to keep that and that's part of the easement?
Correct, the latter.
Yes.
It's part of the easement and it'll remain.
Correct. Yes.
Other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Scott.
So there are 3 single-family homes
Yes.
and 9 boats.
And I'm sorry?
And 9 boats. I'm trying to figure out what is this. I'm looking at the aerial picture.
The IDs have for years. Is that aerial helpful?
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
They do lease boats. These are 3 single-family homes used for single-family home purposes, not
9 boats for 3
dockaging.
single-family homes. Is it a marina?
It is permitted dock leasing because it has been operating as such for, I think, since the 50s or 60s. That was a question that came up from the
So
city.
it's RD15, RS8, but they're allowed to lease dockage like a marina. What is that building in the corner? You know, the way it's shaped, what is that building? It doesn't look like a house.
It's a greenhouse.
It's actually white.
The roof. Yeah.
It's actually the roof of the greenhouse. It has been there for decades. It's lovely. It is a single-family house. There is not any commercial activity going on at the residences. They are grandfathered in for leasing of the boats.
I didn't know there was such a rule. Is this a rule that you can lease boats? You can lease docks?
Dockage.
9 docks or something in a... I'm trying to understand it.
So we'd have to research a little bit. I believe those docks are leased to the condo complex to the south, not to all the property owners that are there.
So how would they get there if there's a condo to the south? Swim across the canal?
No, no, they could. There's like a boardwalk or a dock along the south side of the north side of the waterway there. That's how those docks are there. And you can access it from different points farther east.
So, Ms. Scott?
Very strange.
David and Lindsay advised me they do have a Broward County manatee protection license, which does allow them to continue to operate this. I think it is called the marina, but again, this has been going on since their grandfather was there in the 50s. It is not an independent operation that impacts the single-family home where the families live. Their father lives in one, the family lives in another.
Any other questions for the applicant at this time?
And Ms. Scott, if you would like me to circle back and share that with staff, I think this actually came up like in 2021. I just don't have that documentation with me, but I will certainly make sure that Mr. Hetzel has it. But I do think it was provided to city staff.
Okay. Ms. Scott, you done with that question? Okay. No other questions at this time for the applicant. Members of the public that wish to speak, we have Ms. Vanessa Apotheker.
Hi again, Vanessa Apotheker, President of Tarpon River Civic Association. Again, we have not had a formal vote, but our board has discussed this for over a year on occasion, and we've had no opposition to it from our board. That's all.
Thank you. Any questions? Any statements? Okay, thank you. And now we have Mr. Kevin Schufeld.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Schofield. I live at 809 Coconut Drive, which is 3 houses north of the park at the end of the corner that they're looking to block off. Unfortunately, a lot of my neighbors couldn't be here because of the short notice and the time of year of this. There is no visible sign from anywhere other than once you go down Coconut to the front of these properties, but it's in a hedge that you have to actually drive past it to see. So we think that's a little bit of a concern, that it was didn't give people a chance to come and speak. However, what I'm here to speak, and on behalf of myself and some of my other neighbors, is we're concerned about exactly the reason. There's some sort of greenhouse business because there's vans come and go all day long. There's a tremendous amount of non-residential traffic that comes down Coconut and also down Southwest 9th. Some of our neighbors who have young children have taken now, especially on weekends when most of the traffic coming into the marina is, they have to put up little yellow men with flags and signs saying, please slow down, because there's a lot of traffic that comes, and it comes too fast and it leaves too fast. So how I want to couch this in terms of this particular application is there are some inconsistencies in the filings that the legal firm has filed in front of you. There is a diagram, which is this one that has purple and green on it, that shows the whole area as RD15. But if you then scroll down 2 pages further, which is page 2, section 1, it clearly says it has a zoning classification of RD15 and RS8. There is nothing on the diagram that shows RS8. Also, all other properties on the New River are zoned RS8. This diagram is showing somehow this property magically became RD15. Our concerns are not in principle against the vacation of the right-of-way. They are what will happen subsequently, and will that generate additional traffic beyond the load of traffic that these properties already generate. They generate far more traffic in that area than 3 single-family homes should generate. So that's my concern, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to talk about this evening. But I'd be happy to answer any questions about my statement.
Any questions? Speaker? Okay. Thank you very much.
I have another question though now.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Scott.
I'd like to know about the public participation meeting. I am very concerned about his comment about people not being aware of it, and I'm truly concerned about the whole thing, quite frankly.
Certainly. With respect to public participation, the initial public and I'm concerned too when a neighbor indicates they don't have notice. As you also know, mail notice for this hearing was sent out by the city to all property owners within 300 feet, consistent with what one does for public participation. The public participation occurred in 2023. 2021. Since then, I know Lindsay has brought it to the attention of the board, but that was the last public participation meeting when Mr. Scheckman was in charge of the association leadership.
So between now and then, I mean, you could have new property owners. That definitely bothers me. That's 4 years ago, public participation. I don't think that's the public participation that we have in the code that you can do it, and 4 years later you come before the board. I'm not comfortable with this.
I think Ms. Scott brings up a very good point. I got to ask, because ever since she brought this up, I've been looking for it. So if there is a permission to lease the boats there, how do people get there? I haven't been able to figure it out. So if I lease that marina slip, how do I get there to get to my boat?
To the street.
I was there. There's
To what?
there is a walkway, a boardwalk walkway along that entire south border where a seawall would be, and there are entrances from these streets that are go along. How do I put it? The streets that are north of it. There are little gates that someone can go in.
So I wouldn't leave my car there and go on my boat, is what you're saying? Somebody would drop me off? And I'd walk on that sidewalk?
I think so, yes. It looks like there isn't really parking there. You either walk around it from River Reach out to 9th Street and then up and around, or someone drops you off, it sounds like.
So if we grant this vacation, then how now do people get access to that? Let's reverse it.
Well, I had a long discussion with the owner, with the father there, and I asked him a lot of pointed questions about businesses and stuff too. They are renting that dock space to try and make ends meet, pay property taxes on the property, keep this property within the family, and they are renting, and they do allow the boat owners to come in, and they will allow them to come in there. And there's other entrances that are public entrances too, but they will be able to get in, continue to get to their boats.
Right. I mean, sounds like the reason there's so much traffic, right? So it sounds like to the gentleman's concern. So if we grant the vacation or we don't, that's not going to stop the traffic flow, correct? If I'm going to see my boat?
I didn't see a lot of traffic there, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I think the van is Peter Ide's van that was referenced.
Yes.
Certainly, who lives there. He does go in and out a lot, so I just want to clarify. I want to make sure, of course, any open questions are answered, but I've observed the activity also.
Yeah.
And again, Lindsay, who serves on the neighborhoods board, has been keeping the board apprised. As I said, I'm always surprised, and don't want to hear that someone was not aware of something.
I would be so much more comfortable voting on this, Courtney, if there was a public participation meeting and proper signage, so that I would know that everybody has been able to evaluate it, verbalize it, support it or not support it. I'm very uncomfortable with this.
Let me ask you a question, Courtney. What do you think the applicant would do with his land if we vacated it? What's the purpose of him privatizing it?
To secure it, to stop the general public from going there erroneously, is essentially what happens. Again, whether it's somebody, they don't know they can't get out, so they try to do K-turns and U-turns, or they hang out.
Is there another approach to that? Is there an alternative to have that happen instead of vacating it? Is there anything else that can be done?
Well, if it's not vacated, a member of the public has the right to stand there for as long as they want. You can't control behavior on public land. I guess the only thing you can do is one can't sleep on there under state law.
Mr. Buckley?
Yeah, it's my understanding that this property's been in this family for 75 years?
Yes.
Okay. And whether we vacate it or not, those boats are still going to be there, and they're going to continue to operate exactly the way they are.
Certainly, and have.
I mean, I've seen the street. There's no reason to go down there that I can think of unless you want to park on it illegally.
Illegally, that's exactly right.
Correct.
Seems clear to me.
Mr. Gannon?
Yeah, and I'd like to pipe in that I spoke at length with the folks. I asked, there are no businesses on that property other than the boats. That's the boats only. That large building you saw that was a greenhouse used to be due for the grandmother who grew orchids way long ago. It was an orchid house and whatnot. So there's a lot of, this is a real sincere family. The gentleman I spoke to, he really just wants to keep the property in the family and make expenses and keep out the public. I'm going to also mention that I related to him about his, if you look at that up there, you'll see that if someone comes down Coconut Drive all the way, they are trying to ply through to Davie Road and Davie Boulevard, and they don't really know. A lot of folks don't know it's a dead end, and they keep coming barreling down there, and then they have to turn around or do whatever they're going to do and get out. My neighborhood, Lauderdale Beach, has a street like that where we're having it all the time, and I see them go down. Folks go down, they have to go down to the end of the block and turn. There's kind of a gate there that with all kinds of signs on it saying, dead end, no turnaround, and we have them all at the beginning of that block. People just don't see them. We're experiencing it all the time. So it looks like everything they're saying to me is genuine. I really did vet the gentleman and vet them about what they're going to do with it, what the proper thing is, and all of that. Just wanted to
I don't think anyone here is not being genuine, but I'm not comfortable voting on this tonight to support it when I know there's been no public participation in 4 years. So you guys can decide what you want to do, but it's philosophically wrong.
And Ms. Scott, we are certainly happy to meet with these neighbors and other neighbors. Again, that's the appropriate thing to do.
How come you guys, were staff aware that they hadn't had public participation in 4 years?
Yes, we were. We required the mailers and then the signage as well now. But the meeting, we knew they had provided the summary and the affidavit that they had the public participation that was required.
So our public participation now, as long as it's been done in the last decade, it's acceptable.
If nothing has
I'm being kind of
changed,
tongue in cheek, but I mean, 4 years, seriously? And now this gentleman says that the sign is at the very end of the street? So the only people that see that are the boaters that are renting docks or people that wander down there. I mean, it just goes against the rules, in my opinion.
I do believe, Ms. Scott, it's at the 900 property, which abuts Southwest 9th. And as I said, certainly happy to meet with neighbors who I was not aware were not aware. And especially
So
if they are new property.
are you saying that you're willing to have that meeting and then come back to planning and zoning? Are you indicating that you're willing to defer this?
May I speak with the applicant really quickly? I think they do know this neighbor who is not new, but regardless.
Question for the city attorney. If we turn it down, where do they go from there?
2 years.
In terms of denial of the application?
Yeah, if we deny the application, what are their remedies after that?
Give me a moment to, so they can appeal a denial of a vacation. Well, actually, it goes as a recommendation to the city commission as a denial.
So it still goes to the city commission,
It does.
regardless of what we do tonight?
That's correct.
Thank you.
A correction on that. If you deny it tonight, then they would have to appeal it to the city commission. If you approve it tonight, it goes to the city commission with a recommendation of approval.
Is it appropriate for me to ask the board, like, again, I'm interested as to how many people would wish to vote on this or how many would seek the deferral? Do I ask that or just see what?
I don't want to vote on it. There is public participation. We just heard it. We just didn't hear enough of it. I wouldn't want to vote on this.
Okay,
We just heard
Scott's
it. There's one right there.
uncomfortable.
That's not what you're asking. You're asking to poll a board on how they would vote. Is that correct?
Not the vote, just
Yeah.
do you feel comfortable moving forward this evening and taking a vote, or would you like them to go back and speak with the neighborhood?
I'd proceed tonight.
Mr. Dunn, are you comfortable with a vote tonight, or would you prefer that they go back and speak
This
with
is not,
I mean, I'm just asking to try and take the temperature
Well,
of the board.
we're gambling, right? Because if they get a denial, now they're going to have to go and appeal and go through the whole process.
Sure.
If they decide to get public opinion and bring it back, that's a lot simpler. But I think that's a gamble they have to take.
I
can
get
we
that.
ask Courtney, Patrick, if she's,
Yeah, what
if
would
they're
you
willing
prefer?
to?
Do you have a preference? What did your clients say?
I think my clients feel they did get a lot of public participation. I want to be clear with respect, specifically with the neighbor who is here this evening. That being said, Ms. Scott, from a timing perspective, we can certainly mail out notices to everybody within 300 feet. Typically, any requirement under the code means you then can't come back to the Planning and Zoning Board unless that has occurred 30 days before consideration, which is going to be 60 days, not 6:30.
It'll be February.
Unless we're talking about a type of meeting versus the static code requirements on notice.
I'm looking for a normal public participation meeting, even if it's a Zoom meeting, Courtney. I just want to make sure everybody gets the opportunity to speak and be aware of this.
Yeah,
I did receive.
and I think one of the
Oh, if you trust the snail mail, that's ridiculous.
And if it's okay, Mr. Chair, Lindsay Way would like to weigh in on this topic, no pun intended.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening. Please state your
good
name for the
evening.
record.
Lindsay Way.
Thank you.
So I feel like we somewhat got off topic on what we are here for. And the gentleman that spoke tonight, I think, has been a resident for a long time and created misunderstanding. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. This is very sensitive to me because exactly the reason, Jacqueline, that you wanted this for your neighbor is exactly why I want this. I have 2 young children, and these people keep driving down the street and have almost, I'm sorry, taken out my children. I didn't mean for this to happen. The vans that you're seeing are our personal vans that come and go from this property, and they're still there from my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. Both have vans for the greenhouse. It was to service the orchids and transportation. There is no operation allowed at this property for people to come and go on these charters or whatever is happening around town. We cannot stand that, and we would never allow that at our property. The people that rent the dock, which we have a license for, come to check on their boat, clean it, and they leave. They are very aware, everyone is aware of what we've been trying to accomplish, and anyone that comes down the property hangs over the gate, stares into the yard. It's very uncomfortable. There'll be times where we're out back and people walk into the property and think it's a part of the park or the neighboring property there. And then when we ask them to leave, they think they have a right to be there. And it's something that is really important to me. We have no intent to develop. We're not developers. I can't say if I die what would happen there, but the goal is to have what we have in the family for our children to have a nice life, because we do have something special for them to grow up there, and I would like to protect it and keep it safe for them. And we've dealt with a lot of other things there, unfortunately, and within the last several years of trying to have this accomplished. And it's, like you said, people in the other requests, you can't drive through that. They walk. We have it all. And so I just wanted to say that. And if I believe this gentleman's lived there a long time. If there was any misunderstanding when we've brought this to the attention multiple times, a door knock, a phone call, a neighbor could have called or shown up, which they did tonight, but I don't understand what the problem is.
I assume you
What
know,
we're requesting, and I'm sorry I got very emotional. So any questions, please let me know.
I assume you know the neighbor that spoke?
Actually, I've never talked to them
Yeah.
before.
Do they live near you?
I think, do they live like,
They're like
where do
5
you
houses
guys
away.
live? Are you like
Yeah.
the blue driveway? The one next to, so you're next to them, and the new seawall and the paint, and I'm familiar. Okay, but are you new to the neighborhood?
No, we lived there 15 years.
Okay.
This mailer last week was the first we've heard.
Because it was another mailer to let everyone know about what we're doing.
Never saw it 4 years ago. Never heard back public participation.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Can I make
bring it back
I'm
to the
not a
board.
part of
One
that,
moment.
sorry.
Mr. Donaldson, real quick.
I have just a real quick question. If you receive the vacation, that currently portion of the street gives you access to 2 of the driveways. So do you plan on gating at the end so that you then don't have the public coming down that street? Because you still need to drive on that what is currently a street to get to your driveway.
Correct.
So is that your intent?
That is the intent.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dutton?
I think there's a few different points at play here, but when you look at whether to approve it or deny, the applicants followed all the guidelines that we kind of set forth. So asking him to defer, which I totally understand Jackie's point, and I get why he is seems to be confused mainly and doesn't understand why the notices weren't there. But I mean, they followed all the applications that we gave them, and I think either way, whether you vacate it or don't vacate it, the issues that the Tarpon River is having are still there if those are valid issues. How many the board? How many make up the Tarpon River Association?
It's been 7.
7.
Right now we have 9, but that says that's what 2 weeks.
And are you part of that association?
She's going to have to come up to the mic.
Let's bring her up. I'd like to talk to her.
Yeah,
So we
I
just
just
did
mean like how many people are on the board because they're in favor or
7
they're
people.
okay.
And
If you're going to speak,
if we
please
can
step up
have
to
the
the
Yeah, can we have the Tarpon
president of
River
the-
president?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Your name for the record
Vanessa
again.
Apotheker, President, Tarpon River.
Okay. And so there's 7 people on the board that agree with the vacation request.
There's been no opposition. Yeah.
Okay. No opposition to it. Has the person who was up speaking after you come to any of the meetings to discuss it? And has it been available as a discussion point at any of the meetings?
It's not been brought to a general meeting since I've been on the board for
Okay.
3 years until Jay was there.
And how often do you hold your meetings?
Our general meetings are quarterly.
Quarterly.
Our board meetings are monthly.
And they're available to anybody that's a neighbor
Yes.
to come to?
Yes.
If they have an issue, that's where they would
Correct.
bring
And
it up?
I've never, I have not heard I've not received any correspondence from anybody regarding either way about this issue as the president.
Is this the first time you're hearing of somebody having a disagreement with the vacation?
Yes.
Or the way?
I've heard no support or opposition to it.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Scott?
I just want to make it clear, I'm not, this for me is all about the lack of process. That's the way I feel about it. I'm not necessarily against your vacation, but when so many things come before this board, they're not, some are real clear, some are not so clear, but boy, the importance of having those public participation meetings, et cetera, are so important. And that's what my issue is. It's not about not trying to help you. I understand where you're coming from.
a lot of the letters that we did receive are still existing neighbors throughout that process. And we've done everything that we need to do to satisfy the requirement. And irregardless of the zoning and whatever else was brought to the attention, if our goal was to develop or whatever their hesitation is, we could still do that the way it is. That's not our goal. I don't know. I mean, there was some things that were mentioned and brought up, but I'm just want to
Gannon.
clear any error, any
Thank-
issue people have with whatever they think is happening.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't think we're worried about that too much. But to address Jackie's concern and Mr. Duvall, Dutton, no, I'm sorry. Dela Torres, thank you. Sorry about that. Staff, please, can you tell me, did these people do the process correctly? Is there anything written down that says the participation meeting has to happen like the 30-day mailer has a deadline within a time period, or is there not?
So the city of Fort Lauderdale, with regards to the public participation meetings, goes above and beyond what other jurisdictions do in terms of public notice of meetings. Generally, these types of meetings are noticed by sign notice and mail notice that members of the public have a duty to pay attention to and a civic responsibility to see when these things come out and to come to these hearings when notified. They met their legal obligation in terms of providing that notice. We've added an additional layer to that public process to ensure that there's public participation. And that layer says before an individual submits an application to the city, you need to hold one of these public participation meetings, which is the reason why in this particular case, the public participation meeting is held so far in advance of this meeting, is because we say before you submit the application, go out to the public, meet with them, and then submit your application. And then it goes through the process. I can't speak to the length of time from the time they initially submitted their process to the 4 years and it getting to this point. But in terms of meeting the requirements of the code, they have met the requirements.
That's what I wanted to hear, and they did not.
Wait, hold on. There's something wrong here. If you're talking about the legalities of it, none of us are attorneys, and yeah, of course, let's vote yes. Let's just do it. I mean, they don't need us because it's legal. Not in my opinion. I think we're here because this is a public right-of-way. It doesn't belong to a private enterprise, and I think we have a bigger responsibility to the entire community than to just one person. I mean, we want to do the right thing. It's legal, but I think we need to listen to what everybody else says in the neighborhood, and they have a right to speak too, just like this lady has. She has a right to be here. I don't think we're here to talk about legalities. We heard from the lawyer. I agree with Ms. Scott. I think we have an obligation as a planning and zoning board to see what does the neighborhood want. Maybe we will grant it, and we should grant it, but maybe the neighborhood has something extra that they'd like to see, and they have every right. It's their neighborhood too. So I don't agree 100% that this is all a legal issue. None of us are attorneys here.
May I say something?
Yes.
I'm happy to meet with the neighbors here before planning and zoning and answer any questions that they have regarding the case.
I think that's very, very good.
I'm sorry,
because unless there's here's what I think that's the right thing to do, and I'll tell you why. Unless there's a reason why you want this done absolutely right now, what's the big deal? You know, 30, 60 days, you'll get it approved, but now you'll have the neighborhood with you. They won't be your enemies, and they'll have an opportunity to say something. I think that's very reasonable what you're bringing to the table.
So this has been a lengthy process, and the more development that continues to grow, the more traffic we will see on our street. So that is the time of the essence for me.
Okay.
I have something to say on that too, though. Let's say we decide to give more notice, go through another public participation meeting. How are all these how is the entire Tarpon River neighbors, how are they going to find out about the participation meeting? And do we have their emails, they have addresses, they have to go? It would be a canvassing door to door of dropping flyers in, and even then some of those may be rented and other. You're never going to get everyone, you're never going to get it to everyone, and you can always have someone say, hey, I didn't hear about it, for one way or another. It's
Ms. Crush, do you want to speak to that?
I think briefly the standard process is to obtain or get an update from the Broward County property appraiser who draws the 300-foot radius, and it's via mail. Email makes a lot more sense. People always don't get them, whether there's second homes, first homes, et cetera. We did go through that process to the Civic Association and the 300-foot map in 2021, and then also did the same in 2025. I think, Ms. Scott, what Ms. Way was trying to ask or indicate is that she is happy to meet with this neighbor and or have a meeting, and I think she meant to ask if it was acceptable to you to do that before a city commission consideration, understanding that you're here tonight.
So in theory, the applicant could walk outside right now, and we can move on to the next item and bring it back and vote tonight. Is that correct?
No, there are multiple neighbors that have concerns who also didn't hear about this.
Okay.
And so it's not just us.
Yeah. So the other question is, it sounds to me as though this vacation's been in the works for how long?
4 years.
Okay.
It had a lot of...
And a question for Mr. Spence. Technically, they've met the requirements. Is that correct?
Well, that's your determination to make as finders of fact. In terms of yes, staff would not have brought the application forward. So what I think I'm hearing from the council is that the process doesn't end here. That their process, the final determination is for the city commission to make, and that you can consider as part of your recommendation that they meet with neighbors as part of your condition of a recommendation for approval to the city commission.
Jackie, real quick, don't you think this is kind of public participation meeting in a sense that they did send out the notifications via mail, right? Direct mail to the 300?
Absolutely.
The
city actually did.
Wait a minute. Let's be real here. This public participation, whatever they did, was 4 years ago.
No,
now,
they did one in
board,
2025. The
2021, 4 years ago. Okay, now here's the situation. You got to realize that there's going to be more and more, when a case comes before us, it's incumbent upon us to look at the whole thing. So when you have a member from the public that comes up and says, hey, nobody knew about it, and then we find out public participation didn't happen, it happened 4 years ago, and then Vanessa clearly stated that they haven't taken a vote. I don't know that it would be hurtful to them to go through the process correctly. From what Vanessa's saying, et cetera, the people would probably support it. I'm just not comfortable moving forward knowing that hasn't been done correctly, because other things for us, and I've never, being on planning zoning, ever heard a public participation meeting happening 4 years before they come before us. I've never seen it. And if that's the case, and if staff feels like that's acceptable, then maybe at the end of the meeting, for the good of the city, I'm going to recommend that there is a time frame so we don't ever have this happen again.
So, I would like to kind of respond to that, but it is from a legal perspective. Again, the city of Fort Lauderdale goes above and beyond in providing notice to the public in terms of these hearings. They have satisfied the notice requirements. It is the obligation of individuals to be on notice of these hearings and to show up. And this is the only hearing that is of note and require this quasi-judicial hearing. Again, the public participation meeting, as set up in our code, is to alert members of the public and give them an opportunity to participate prior to the submission of their applications. And that is beyond any other standard that any other municipality has within the jurisdiction. I mean, the board is free to ask for more stringent policies, but I think the city is very stringent in terms, and very lenient in terms of public participation, as it were. And I think I've said too much so far on that.
You know,
point.
Dwayne, the city of Oakland Park, public participation expires after 6 months. So there's other jurisdictions that are looking at this part of the process. Not that it's relevant tonight, but I just want to make that statement.
Okay. Mr. Alexander Spence, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yes. Seeing everything here that's been discussed today, I do agree with Ms. Scott that we do need to change provisions so that way a public service announcement could happen within a reasonable amount of time to a meeting with the planning and zoning board. So that way every resident in an area that is dealing with a case that's being brought up for the board has a reasonable amount of time to know what is going on and whether they are in support of it or in denial of it. I personally think that having a public service meeting and then having the actual planning and zoning board meeting on the topic at hand being 4 years apart is at the very least somewhat strange. I think that it would be better if it was done with a more reasonable amount of time.
Okay. Does anyone have a comment?
Excuse me, just for clarification, the public participation meeting that occurred was at the Tarpon River general meeting in 2021.
Correct.
What recently got done was mail notices and the sign. So it wasn't all of that completed back in 2021. It was the public participation meeting happened in 2021. The notices, mail notices, and the sign were posted before this meeting.
Was that within 300 feet?
Yes.
Tarpon River
Yeah,
Civic
so
Association is much bigger. More people hear about it.
Well, the association gets noticed, and then the 300 feet are the property owners.
It's both.
Mr. Dutton?
When was the notice given to the 300 feet and then the association?
30 days?
Like 30 days ago. I mean, you got it. That's why you're here, I assume.
Mr. Dutton, I'm going to have to defer to the city because we provide the envelopes and labels. The city
Gotcha.
mails it out.
Yeah, give us one moment. We'll look it up.
What I'm hearing is that our approval or denial does not stop here. Since it's a vacation, it has to go to City Commission. Am I correct?
No.
As a recommendation. So if we recommend to approve this,
I don't believe so.
I thought
I'll defer to the deputy city attorney.
if we recommend approval of vacation, doesn't it have to go to the commission?
It does. This
I
vacation right away.
apologize, deputy attorney.
Yeah.
I thought a recommendation of denial would need to be appealed, is what you said.
No,
yes,
I'm saying-
yes, a recommendation of denial will need to be appealed, but a recommendation for approval goes to the city commission.
So it automatically goes if it's recommended for approval.
It goes to commission, correct?
No.
I mean, the buck doesn't stop here if we do approval, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So what's in front of us is if there was a motion and if it was an approval, could the motion state that before it goes to final commission, that the Tarpon River Association has it on their agenda and that it's a part of their meeting? That would be the public participation, would be the Tarpon River Association. And then that would...
Understood. I did.
Would that be because it has to then get scheduled to the commission, correct? So could that be a condition that we recommend approval if it was to be approved? I'm just talking about how a motion would be, and that between the time of our recommendation and commission that the Tarpon River Association has it on their meeting as another public participation. I don't know. I'm just asking.
You can make your recommendation contingent upon them having that meeting.
I want to say one more thing, and
Go ahead, Ms.
then
Scott.
I'm going to shut up about this. I mean, I don't think it would. I think this motion would pass unanimously if we had gone through the process that we're discussing, and I would ask you to defer this, do what you're supposed to do, and bring it back. I have no doubt it'll pass. That's my opinion. And I don't know why you wouldn't do that. You've waited a long time. We've heard everything. It'd be so much easier.
And Ms. Scott, I want to make sure I understand you are talking about a subsequent meeting notifying everybody within 300 feet. I do not believe I could achieve that before to return to you in 30 days.
To Ms. Scott, and what council is saying, in order to effectively comply with the public participation meeting requires them to comply with the notice provisions in the code. In order to do that, it would add additional time. So the question is, will the board allow them to do a meeting? But I don't think it would satisfy the board if they just held a meeting and not properly notice everyone in accordance with the code for a public participation.
But Dwayne, let's look at this. So how much time would they need if they appealed, and how much time would they have? I mean, what's the difference? If they got appeal, how does the appeal process work? How much time would it take them to appeal?
No, I don't think that argument is relevant to the question at hand. It sounds like they're willing to consider a meeting, but they want to know what the board is looking for in terms of a meeting. So if the argument from the board is that they need to have a proper public participation meeting, that means you need to properly notice those individuals that would have a right to attend those meetings. And that's the concern in terms of the timing for that.
And I understand it, but I'm saying compare that to the worst case scenario. Is there a difference in time where they would have to appeal if we denied it?
It's a 30-day appeal period.
Right. So there's no. It's a zero-sum game, whichever way we go. It's just here's where I have a problem. I have to agree with Ms. Scott. I got a problem with this. And if this was strictly a matter of the applicant comes to the city, you guys look at it from a legal standpoint, it's correct, it's legal, no problem, then what are we doing here? You might as well just not have a board. Just it's legal, fine, perfect, let's go. I don't think that's what we're here for. At least I didn't sign up for that. I want to look at if it's public, then what's in the best interest of the community, right? I'm not going to take the position of one person or the other. What's in the best interest? And in my opinion, I have to agree with Ms. Scott. It's in the best opinion to get the opinion of your neighbors because they have the rights too. So we want to hear that the neighbors, whether it be this gentleman who came today or the rest of them, have a chance to sit and have a say and say, okay, if you're going to take this land, we'd like to see this, we'd like to see that. I think that's what we're talking about.
No, I understand exactly what you're talking about, and it's been a valid point. And there's also have been abuses of the system in the past where individuals who, we can only ask the applicants and their counsel to provide the notice in terms of what our code provides. And when they provide those notices, there have been abuses in the past where individuals will show up to a meeting and tell the board, well, we didn't get a notice, despite having the affidavit that says notice has been provided. But I realize that this is unique in terms of the time period of that public participation meeting, which is different than the argument that I'm making now. But we just want to make sure that piece is understood. So I fully understand and I agree that if the public participation meeting was the sole method for individuals in the community to receive notice of this hearing and their sole opportunity to speak on this matter, then that would be problematic. But in terms of what it's intended to serve, which is giving the community a heads up of the project, an opportunity to hear about it before it's submitted, versus being a secondary public hearing like this hearing, which a public participation meeting is not intended to be. But if that's what the board is looking to change or transfer that into, that's something they can communicate to the city commission. But that's generally not the intent of a public participation meeting.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Courtney, I just got a text from Vanessa. They have a meeting on January 29th. If you guys would just show up, give your, talk to them, they'll probably unanimously support it, hopefully. You come back to us, boom, it's done.
What I was going to suggest, and Vanessa did tell me the January 29th date, what I'm wondering if it would be acceptable to the board is if we deferred and returned to you on January 21st, if we did mail notices, because we have the current list, sent out to everybody within 300 feet and the association and offered to host at whatever forum like Southside so everybody could come, could we return to you January 21st? We can get those notices out this week.
I would support, I'm sure that Vanessa has the emails of everybody in her neighborhood association. So if you can coordinate with Vanessa to do a Zoom meeting.
Perfect.
Just get a Zoom meeting done that you had the public participation and then come back. I'm sure it's going to pass, but we've done everything correctly and we haven't, and it's not been a 4-year lapse. I would love if you would do that.
I would love to be able to do that, and we, again, can act on that immediately, understanding it's not going to occur 30 days out technically from returning to you January 21st.
I'm comfortable with that, if the rest of the board is.
Mr. Buckley?
Yeah, I'm not looking to make you all jump through any more hoops. We've heard it all. You can continue doing exactly what you're doing, whether we vacate it, approve it, and send it to the commission tonight. I'd be prepared to vote personally.
I'm prepared to vote as well, and I would consider the commission meeting as another public presentation, which there will be a presentation and a chance for everyone in the world in that neighborhood to get out there and say their piece or submit letters or do whatever. So because we're not the last word here, I'm for that. I say we vote to approve and push it to the commission that can also be a public,
So then why are we here? We might as well push everything to the commission. I don't understand this.
Because they
And why are we here?
followed the
If we don't,
process.
we're supposed to recommend to the commission. We're not supposed to throw the ball to them. I don't understand what we're doing here.
Well, I'm hearing the person that initiated the. I'm hearing the person that indicated that started the conversation about this public participation say that she would have voted yes if that weren't the case anyway. And I think most everyone here feels the same way. We're fixating on one procedural thing that will probably not make any difference in our decision. And whether
Absolutely,
this gets
it
approved.
would. If this gentleman came here, you mean to tell me what he just said doesn't influence me? Of course it
Well,
would.
it can influence your vote. Absolutely.
Correct.
This is setting a precedent, gentlemen. That's what I'm concerned about. Okay?
Sir, why don't you go ahead and tell us?
So call the motion.
We're not going to let him talk?
I just
He
wanted to.
can't. We've closed the public hearing.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. We've closed the public hearing. Unless the board votes, Okay. You like Mr. Torres is? Okay. You may have 3 minutes or less. Go ahead.
Thank you. Interesting that you limit me to 3 minutes, but not the people who are proposing. But nevertheless,
It's standard.
there was my
That's
point.
actually the guidelines by which it's set forth by the city.
Okay.
Individuals have 3 minutes, associations have 5, and the applicant has 15 or more.
Is that true? Okay.
Well, check
Interesting to know. All right. Seem to be stacked against the public, but nevertheless, there was no response to the main point that I made in my presentation, which was that there is an inconsistency in the materials that were mailed out to the public. Specifically, the map shows that all of the properties are RD 15. The document provided by the legal counsel for the applicant specifically says it's RS 8 and RD 15. And so, is this an attempt to suddenly turn what was an RS 8 and RD 15 into an all RD 15, which is higher density? My concern, and those of my neighbors who weren't able to be present, continues to be, is more traffic going to get generated? Great story about we're not going to do anything, but what might happen in the future. I've lived on the street for 15 years. My neighbors have lived there longer than this. We're very concerned with all of the development that's happening in Tarpon River, that this property is going to be bundled up, sold, and developed with high density. That's the concern we have. I said at the outset of my comments that in principle, I'm not opposed to the vacation of the street. What we are concerned about is this trying to slide in a rezoning under the covers, because the materials are inconsistent that you sent out to the public based on what you asked us to make a decision on.
Give me a minute here to say something. Folks on the board, take a look at page 4 of the backup material. You'll see the zoning, the location with the zoning on it. And if we could get it up on the screen, it'd be even better if someone could. Page 4, well, 4 of 34, which is the whole
Which
thing.
exhibit are we looking at?
This is on Exhibit 4.
Okay.
And nothing's changing the zoning, though, tonight.
Well, here's the thing.
zoning can't be, if this is incorrect
Sir,
or not.
Correction,
sir,
it's
you-
Exhibit 1, but page 4 of the packet,
Oh,
which
there you
is
go.
It
a
won't
copy
change
of
the
the zoning map.
It-
beside
Well,
this.
it's not up for discussion
if you'll
tonight.
see it there, you yourself happen to be in RS8 zoning.
Correct.
But the rest of the entire neighborhood is RD 15, not just that property.
Everybody on the New River is RS 8.
Right.
Everybody
Should
in the New River, except this property now is showing up in this.
Everyone on the river, yes, but everyone inside.
Correct.
Is,
Correct.
And everyone inside away from the river
But
is
the
RD
largest
15.
piece of this property is on the river.
So you're saying that you think that property is really RS 8.
Correct. And the documents that they submitted, their legal counsel submitted, actually says that. But the map does not say that. The map paints it all as RD 15. And that's what we're concerned about, is that this is an attempt to turn the whole property into RD 15, which allows much more density in future developments. That's not true.
Hold on, Chair.
We're going to look
Hold
it
on,
up.
hold on, hold on.
We can't talk between.
Wait, we have staff here. that
City
can
staff
verify
is here
that. Let
to-
city
to-
staff answer.
Yeah, can you bring it up? They can bring it up.
Yeah,
from,
they know
from
the
the
law.
GIS actually and see what it really is. Yeah.
If that's
So-
the confusion, this is a little more easier. I'd be willing to take a vote if this is what the confusion is.
This doesn't affect.
So on screen, you have the staff report. If you go to page 4 of the staff report, what you have is an excerpt of the existing zoning code. The existing zoning code shows the site location in a hash line for the proposed vacation. To the west of that hash line is the existing portion of the existing property of the applicant. As you see, it is in the RD 15 zoning district. Members of the public can access the official zoning map of the city of Fort Lauderdale on the city's website, and they can confirm that the excerpt is also correct. You can also access the property reporter database on the city's website as well.
So why on the
to confirm that the zoning map is correct? I will ask the speaker to present the document that he's referencing that refers to the split zoning that you say that the applicant provided.
2 pages after this, section 1, page 2 of the
Can you
legal brief presented.
ask IT to advance it?
Oh, this is not the what was mailed out. There's a
So do you have a copy of the mailing?
City zoning map shows it as RD 15.
Yeah, I just looked at BCPA as well.
Yeah, BCPA is where I pull it, and it's the same map as the applicant has.
But if he has a piece of, I mean, I can understand his confusion, obviously.
Yeah, we're here to listen.
Yeah, and guys, this is a perfect example of why we shouldn't be discussing this here. That should have been in public participation. They should have handled that separately. We shouldn't be here talking about this, and that's why Ms. Scott is correct. Because had they had the chance to clear this all up, we wouldn't be sitting here for an hour talking about this. That's why it's so important to have that public participation cleared up.
But they have to do that before they make applications. So
But not 3 years before.
No, but the confusion that he's having has nothing to do with what would have been discussed at
Correct.
the other. He's having a different issue.
Agreed, but he has as much right as she does. So I'm saying,
No, I understand
we shouldn't be involved in it. We should have let them take care of that under. That's why the public participation in that Ms. Scott is talking about is so important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It would all been cleared up.
The mail sent out was incorrect.
The what?
The piece of mail that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Mr. Bennett. I'm just saying this is the perfect example of why this is such an important subject. And by the way, it has nothing to do with the Way family or anybody else. It has to do with the procedure of what we're here for to make sure it's comprehensively clear to everybody. We have an obligation to the community.
So, just to clarify, it is all RD15, and in the document that was sent out to the neighbors within, I assume that was the 300 feet mailer that was sent out. It says that it's zoned RS8 and RS15 or RD15.
But so the property to the west of the vacating road was shown as RS8 in the mailing. Is that
In the
what you're
mailing,
saying?
it doesn't say which.
May,
It just
may I approach to see the?
yeah. You want to
let-
show him?
Let Dwayne figure it out.
I believe west of the road was RD 15, and the property on the water showed as RS 8. That's the confusion and the gentleman's concern.
Well, west of the road. Oh,
It doesn't say
think
either.
that
It
should
doesn't say
that-
which one.
Yes.
And when do they come back to us?
So funny enough, though, from a development standpoint, keeping the road there is actually more beneficial to a developer because you get more frontage. Vacating it makes the property a little
right here.
more. You can't get access to all that.
Oh,
It says RD15 or RS8.
unless you're building a big complex
Because you
or
can
something.
then
You're right.
have
Yeah.
frontage everywhere.
After 75 years.
So it's like multifamily.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're back to the board still, and do we have a motion?
Well, I'm sorry.
So if the
Courtney, you have-
if you would advance to page 21 of the backup packet and look at section 1. It's in an exhibit. So no, it's a page 20. It's exhibit 4. Page 2 of exhibit 4 in your packets. But for the IT, that would be page 20. For the record, the document that was shown to me by the speaker is this document in section 1. And you'll see in the last sentence of the first paragraph that it states that the property has a zoning classification of RD15 and RS8 with underlying land use of a medium and low medium respectively. And that is the confusion. Counsel, this is from your firm. Would you like to clarify the record?
It looks like it's part of the narrative, which I think would be with the city. I didn't see a notice document, but neither here nor there. And I assume the city created the actual mail notice, but we don't have it. We just provide envelopes. That I think is a narrative which would be in the city's file. I don't believe the city mails the narrative out, just for clarification, but I understand.
So you're not willing to do that, Courtney? You guys aren't willing to go before Vanessa's group on the 29th and then?
I would like to do it sooner. Notice.
Oh, at a Zoom meeting. Okay, good.
Notice
and
immediately.
Then come back to us
I'm
when?
happy to do that.
January
And come back
21st.
when?
January 21st to our next,
Perfect.
to our next
So
meeting.
you'd be asking for a deferral tonight?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's clear.
Ask for it, please.
Oh, Mr. Chair, board members, if I may,
Yes.
may I, and thank you for the time and consideration, may we request deferrals in order to have a Zoom meeting with our neighbors, let's say first week of January, knowing that we're going into holidays, coordinating with the neighborhood association president and returning to you January 21st.
Perfect.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, we'll do a vote. Okay. All right, any other, okay, so with that, we will take a vote as to defer this agenda item to January 21st, our next meeting.
Do we say that we're assuming or that we mandate that they do have the Zoom meeting prior to our meeting on the 21st?
Mr. Spence, is there an...
I think I proffered it as a condition of returning to you on the 21st. However,
A simple motion for deferral would suffice. You know the reasons for the deferral. If they do not accomplish that, then you address it then.
Okay. We're obviously going to clean up the wording. Okay.
And first motion was made by?
Well, the applicant, who made the motion? Or the motion proffered it, did anyone? No. I guess you're just calling the roll.
What is the
'cause
motion?
it
Can we
was
repeat
from
the motion?
It's a simple.
Okay,
was
I'll
a
make a
motion
motion.
No, the applicant proffered it. There wasn't a
made?
motion.
A motion to defer to the next meeting.
Correct.
Okay, and then we'll do a vote.
If you would make that motion.
Yes.
Okay, I move that we accept the deference, if that's the right word, to January 21st. And the applicant agrees to have a public participation meeting with the Civic Association and come back to us for hopefully approval here.
And for the sake of clarification, because we were talking about the criteria for a public participation meeting, what you actually discussed was them having a meeting with the Civic Association.
Didn't I just say that?
You said, I want to make sure that it's not
Okay.
a term of art that when we talk about the notice requirements and so forth.
Okay, we're accepting the deferral from the applicant, so the applicant has the opportunity to do a public participation meeting as required, as requested by the...
So I would rather that you just defer the item.
Well, yeah, you're confusing me. I did that. Okay. I move that we defer the item to January 29th.
And that's
21st. 26. January 29th, 2026.
You make the motion.
I'm open.
Someone can make it, Brian.
Make a motion to defer the meeting, or to defer the item, case number UDP-V21002 to our next meeting, which is January 21st, 2026.
Seconded.
Okay, just should I just do voice vote? Doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you. One more thing I'd like to mention. So so another 30-day mailing, a mailing will be done with the corrected narrative and no?
Just the public participation.
Just public participation?
They're sending out
Okay. 300 to 300 foot in the Zoom. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 5, UDP S24040. Disclosures, Mr. Dela Torres.
None.
Mr. Spence.
None.
Ms. Scott. Mr. Donaldson.
Site visit.
Oh, yeah, it is site visit.
Okay. Mr. Spence. Or, sorry, Mr. Dutton.
Site visit and spoke to the applicant's attorney.
Mr. Buckley.
Spoke with the applicant's attorney.
Mr. Gannon.
Site visit and spoke with the applicant's attorney.
I did a site visit and had a phone call from, but didn't speak with the applicant's attorney.
Good evening, Chair. I would always return your calls. Good evening. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Andrew Shine, representing the property owner. With me, I also have Bob Ader and Beth Ader, who are the owners of the property. The property is located at 2925 East Commercial Boulevard. This is a far view. On the left, you have US 1. On the right, you have the Intercoastal. These are the shops that are on the north side of Commercial that have all the public parking facing Commercial, and then the retail spaces or restaurant spaces behind. This is a closer view. You can see the property in red. The property is currently served by that public city parking lot. This is a view from the street, just to give a little context of where the building is. And a brief history. So this property has been in the family since 1969, and it has been used over the years. They've had various tenants. For folks who have been in Fort Lauderdale a while, you might recognize these names. Everyone knows Flanagan's. But it was also home to Scally's and more recently, Mrs. Murphy's Pub. And when Mrs. Murphy's Pub vacated it, it was determined that the property is really no longer suitable for a new tenant. It's an old building. It's had 40 or so years of cigarette smoke in there. It was just a complete tear down. So that's why this is the front of the building. Very nice design still, but and unfortunately it's a tear down. And so that's why we're here tonight, is to come up with a new concept for this building. This is the rear. No offense, Bob, it's not the prettiest looking building on the back these days. So we plan on bringing a new concept, and it's a concept that's common in a lot of major cities, not so common in Fort Lauderdale, and I'll call it a 2-over-1. It's 2 floors of residential units above 1 floor of commercial space. Again, very common in most major cities, but very difficult to do in Fort Lauderdale under the code. This is the ground floor design. On the plan right, which is the south, there will be planned for 2 tenant spaces, about 1,800 square feet. Could be combined into 1 depending on the tenant, but right now planned for 2. And in the back is just parking for the residential. We are here tonight for a parking reduction as well. It's not a standard parking reduction, which I'll show, but we are not and we cannot ask for a parking reduction for the residential. So all of the residential will be parked on site. We're only asking for the parking reduction for the commercial component. This is the second floor. You can see they're split. It'll be 2-level units on the second and third floors. This is not a fully accurate rendering of the building. There have been some changes due to flood elevations since these renderings were done. But this is the building. It's nestled right next to I'd say a 2.5-story building, and on the east we have about a 10-story building. So this will fit neatly in the middle at 35 feet. These are the elevations. These are the side elevations, which shouldn't be too visible. This is the criteria for a parking reduction. I am going to go through the criteria. I'll keep it brief. Most of the responses that I proposed are in the written narrative responses, but there are a couple of highlights that I do want to touch on. So for a parking reduction, the Planning and Zoning Board is tasked with reviewing it based on the following criteria. One is adequacy requirements. Adequacy requirements are the traffic, water, sewer capacity, the more objective items. I'll touch on the major ones. This is a reduction in water and sewer capacity from the existing bar that was there. So the new use will have a lower demand than the previous use. Same with parking, interestingly. The new use will have a lower parking requirement than the previous use, but we still have to come for a parking reduction. And the parking study was shown in the plan. We are also part of adequacy requirements is adding trees. We are proposing 4 trees on the site where none exist now, 4 shade trees. In the parking reduction criteria, B, C, D, E, and F are or, so you only have to comply with one of them. Most of them aren't applicable to this project to begin with. But the one that we're basing our parking reduction application on is that there's public parking within 700 feet of the parcel. So as shown before, every single commercial strip, some of them have a couple of backout spaces in behind, but every single commercial lot here relies on the city public parking lot that's right in front of it. There is no parking on site. This is all in a city lot. And this lot is a platted lot. It's platted for public parking only. So this will remain public parking in perpetuity to be used by all of those commercial tenants. The city owns the property, and they're restricted by plat to keep it public parking in perpetuity. So we're not worried about losing the parking. This is also here because it's a mixed-use development. The property is zoned CB, which is a community business zoning district, and you can do residential on commercial property if certain criteria are met, or if you use things like live local, which we're not getting into tonight. But we went under as the mixed-use development, which is the not live local workaround where we actually have to come to Planning and Zoning Board for the approval. Not only did we have to go to Planning and Zoning Board, we had to go to Board of Adjustment because this property required 3 variances in order to make a small mixed-use project work. As I said at the beginning, the city's code is really not built for small mixed-use developments, which is a shame because other major cities, they have that. As examples, we needed a variance for a 1,400 square foot public plaza. The property is about 3,500 square feet. We couldn't provide a 1,400 square foot public plaza there. The city has a 10,000 square foot minimum lot size for mixed use projects. I'm not sure why it doesn't, again, fit what other cities do with these smaller 2/1 mixed use developments, but we did get a variance from that. And same with the lot width. The city requires a 100-foot minimum lot width. I will say the city is currently working on changes to the mixed use code, so hopefully this won't be an issue in the future, but it was for this project. It's also a conditional use since it's mixed use on a commercial district. Again, I put these in the narrative, but I'll briefly touch on them. It's not expecting any major impact on abutting properties. Access, it's a lower traffic generator, a lower parking generator than the existing use that was there. It's not in conflict with the city's comp plan, which does allow, if you apply flexibility units, allows residential on commercial. Off-site or on-site conditions that reduce the impact of the structure. Again, this is a pretty low demand structure, so we're not expecting any real negative impacts to the neighbors. And I just put this slide to show the context of where we are. There are sidewalks right in front of the building. We are tasked with improving the sidewalk in front of our parcel, and that's an alley to the back. On-site improvements that make it better to permit. We're providing landscaping where it doesn't exist, but again, this is a fairly small project. There's a landscaping plan. Last is that it doesn't impact the character, or second to last, that it doesn't impact the character of the zoning district. This is a community business zoning district, so it's the least intense commercial zoning district, less intense than even a B1, and it's meant for community businesses. So it's usually in areas where you have neighborhoods or other residential uses. And this is just a zoning map showing we're at the northern end of the CB. Directly north of this property is multifamily zoning, and directly north of that is single family. So the combination of small, less intense retail with low density housing fits in this area. And that is the presentation. Thank you. Available for any questions.
We have a question. Mr. Donaldson?
Hi. Since the family has owned this property for this many years, are you going to be a landlord to these, or is this going to become a condo?
I can answer this. We've spoken about this before. They'll be rentals.
They will be rentals.
Yes, rentals.
That was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions while the applicant's counsel's here? Okay. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote. Lost Mr. Spence.
Well, we wait for Mr. Spence. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and this is exactly how I lived. Everything on the first floor was commercial, and upstairs was rentals. I agree, Mr. Stein. I mean, we should incorporate that. I think there's a lot of opportunity for this. I think it's well done. And what you did here with the architecture is a great use of the property. And good luck, because this is very well done. And I think we should do more of this in the opportunities that exist to upgrade our city. I think people should know that we could do this. And it's a great way to live, by the way. I grew up that way.
We are waiting for one of our members.
Let's see. I'm going to remark that dimensional setbacks, everything else, and density is all within or under the limits of what that of what are available there as well.
Mr. Shine, what's the parking for commercial around the street? Is there enough to cover it?
Plenty, yeah. Again, there used to be a bar here which required 40 parking spaces for that bar that is being demolished.
Yeah.
Our use requires 12. So there's an excess even from what was previously there on the site. Our parking study didn't show that there's any lack of parking. I'm there all the time. I've never seen a lack of parking, but yeah, lower demand than what was there before.
Did you use it a lot when the pub was there also?
No, that I don't drink and drive.
I'd like to make a motion to approve. I motion to adopt a resolution approving the site plan level 3, case number UDP-324040, based upon the following findings of fact, and that the board hereby finds the application meets the standards and requirements of the ULDR and criteria for the proposed use, and that the approval of the application is subject to all conditions, including the city staff report.
Second.
A resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving a site plan level 3 development and conditional use permit for a mixed-use development consisting of 2 dwelling units through the allocation of flex units, 1,720 square feet of commercial use, and associated parking reduction for 7 parking spaces for a property located at 2925 East Commercial Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the Community Business District, case number UDP-S24040, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Dwayne, before roll is called, may I interrupt?
Sure.
Quick clarification on the staff report. I ran into this issue once last year. The header for the staff report shows 1,720 square feet of commercial. The body and the parking reduction shows 1,790. And there's a difference on the first page with 8 parking spaces reduced versus the table that shows 7. I just want to make sure we won't have to come back to correct a staff report.
So what is the actual correct
1,790 is what shows on the plans and what's in the
1790, and it's 8 spaces reduction?
Yeah, that's correct. And As I understand, we can always go below that if, say during construction, the permit plan shows 1,500, then we can always go under that, but not above that. So I don't want that 1720 to come into play.
Okay, changes are noted for the record.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, are you clear on that, those verbal changes? Okay. Okay. We had a motion, we had a second from Ms. Scott. Okay, we're ready.
For roll call vote. Mr. Dela Torres,
Yes.
Mr. Spence,
Yes.
Mr. Detton,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Gannon,
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson, Chair Matee.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Okay, do we have anything for the good of the city?
You know I do.
What's good for the city, Ms. Scott?
Well, I mean, I don't want to ever have to go through this again with the public participation. How do we handle this, staff?
So you pointed out that Oakland Park has a similar process. Their process is called the Neighborhood Participation Meeting. They have a provision in their code, but it only applies to applications that go before the City Commission. So they require that the meeting be held no longer within 6 months of the submission of the application. And then there's specific language with regards to the commission items is that applications which require City Commission action shall schedule an additional meeting prior to placement on the City Commission agenda if the neighborhood meeting was held more than 6 months prior to the City Commission meeting. You could suggest similar language in terms of the Planning and Zoning Board that if the application comes before the Planning and Zoning Board, that an additional public participation meeting is scheduled if the prior meeting was held more than 6 months to the Planning and Zoning Board meeting.
So I'm interested in, it was too much information for me, for the record. I want to see what the rest of the board feels like. I'd like to see some type of time frame in which that has to take place prior to coming to us, or not to exceed more than a year, maybe.
That's
Mr. Spence put that forward with 6 months there, but I would be open to the board to
You
hear
would do a
whether
year.
1 year or 6
I think
years.
if we do the 6 months, sorry, we have what we're doing. We have the as Mr. Hetzel mentioned, we have and Mr. Spence, we do our public participation before the process starts, and that's so we can, public can make changes, make requests for changes before they get into doing it. 6 months would be too tight. They'd miss out on it a lot of times going through, have the public participation, make changes the public wants in the docs, then submit your application, then go through the whole thing. So
Especially when it's only quarterly, right? Like Tarpon River's only quarterly.
yeah, some meeting, yeah, civics.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Buckley?
May I just add a quick thing to that as well? There's some things that applicants do, which I think was just noted by Whitney, is that some applicants wait to get on a general meeting. And those general meetings for neighborhoods don't happen every month. They happen every quarter, or actually once every 6 months for some neighborhoods. So I think that needs to be taken into account, number one. Number two, they could have the meeting up until 30 days before this meeting. So there is a time limit on when the deadline is to complete the limit meeting, but we don't have one for how early it should happen. So we don't have really situations where an applicant has had a meeting years before. It's very rare that we have a situation like this. We did note this to the applicant that their meeting was way in advance, and it was years that have gone by. But according to code, they met the requirement. So that's what the position we were in.
I understand, but I would suggest
So a
that.
year.
Pardon me?
I'm sorry for interrupting.
I would suggest, you guys, that I like the year idea. I think that works. And I'm not concerned about when, as an HOA president, I get calls all the time for public participation, and we do it via Zoom. And I put the notice out, and so they've met the criteria. People have the opportunity. So I'm not concerned, Whitney, about how often the association meets.
Yeah, you can call a special meeting. You're right.
Well, and that was what I was going to follow up, because I'm a president of an HOA as well, is that, this idea that you have to have it at a general meeting. My neighborhood only has a general meeting once a year.
Right.
General meeting. But we have quarterlies, we have whatever. So I think whatever wording that we're talking about, that they need to have an HOA meeting within a year. And whatever that meeting format
Whether
is,
it's
who cares?
Virtuals included or
Right.
whatever.
We just have to have a
Public participation meeting
within a
with
year.
the recognized HOA in the boundaries of the
Right.
project.
With virtual meetings permitted, obviously.
Yeah,
Make
Oh,
sure
always.
language is for that. Yes.
Yeah. I don't even think we need to put that. I mean,
Mr. Right, Mr. Buckley.
I would only say that having been through this process before, having been through the building department and planning and zoning board, and also been president of a homeowners association, I'd make it 18 months.
Mr. Torres?
Yeah, one of the things I heard about Oakland Park to make sure that we don't do what I heard is that it was conditioned to go to the commission. I think it should be no conditions. I think it should be before coming to planning and zoning, period. And I just wanted to clarify that because that's what I heard. And I think I agree more with what Ms. Scott is saying, that it's particular to this meeting. So when we vote on something, we know that the community has had a chance to talk about it. It's not whether with it in legal rights or not. It's about what's in the best interest of the community, including the applicant. And I think we should have no conditions to it. It just has to be done before they come here.
yeah, but you don't,
You know, so-
within a year, not 18 months.
Within 1 year, yes.
Okay.
We're taking a look at our code for most other development permit applications that come before this board. There is a requirement 30 days prior to it coming to this board for a public participation meeting. This just happens to be a vacation of a right of way, which is not one of those. And maybe you want to add that
pull that in.
pull that into that section. Yeah.
Okay. So is that a recommendation to the commission? Or is that?
How do we do that?
Do we enact it?
Yes, it would have to be a communication to the commission.
And then they direct.
And typically that would come from the chairman, correct?
It would be communication because what you're asking is for city staff to amend the code to have the vacation of right of way added to the participation requirements. Yeah, so you have to make a communication to the commission for them to direct staff to amend the code.
Okay.
So chair can do that.
We got to take a vote because otherwise it'll get sanitized at the city attorney at the next commission meeting.
So you need a motion and a second on that.
No offense to you. Okay, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we additionally add vacations of rights of way to the code as it relates to public participation meetings. How's that?
Yeah. But that doesn't have a limit.
No, it's already in. They have to do it 30 days before. It has 30 days. It ends the problem.
Do we have a second?
They have to have it completed before 30 days, but there's still
The
no
code
limit.
only deals with that. Exactly, you're correct. It has 30 days before the meeting, but doesn't have the time frame you guys were talking about, which was how
Need to
far
start
in
it.
Glad you caught
advance.
that.
I've been listening.
Okay, so to add to that motion, and that add that, but also on public participation meetings, they have to happen no longer than a year before the planning and zoning board meeting.
I'm fine with that. I'll second it.
All right. We have a second from Mr. Buckley.
So the second part you just added is no earlier than a year prior to the planning and zoning, but
No
okay.
later than 30 days.
And no earlier than 1 year.
365 days. Okay. Do we do a roll call? Yeah. We can do all in favor. Voice vote's fine for this?
Let's do it right. I don't want any problems.
Okay, no, I don't either. Go ahead. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Make it official. Get your name on the record.
Mr. De La
Stop
Torres,
laughing.
Yes.
Mr. Spence,
Yes.
Mr. Dutton,
Yes.
Mr. Buckley,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Gannon,
Yes.
Mr. Donaldson, Chairman Teague.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
One more thing. I want to wish everyone a happy holiday.
Oh,
Same to you.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion approved.
All in favor? Aye.